Very good. Well, I get to stand up here on a pedestal, which is always encouraging. Very good morning to you. It's my great pleasure to stand here and be really enthusiastic about university-industry collaboration, which is something that I passionately believe in, so that's easy. You're going to have to stop me if I get too carried away. It's a double pleasure actually being here, given that Cambridge Enterprise and UCL Business are both members of the UK Innovation Forum, of which I happen to be Chief Executive, and we work closely with the KTNs generally, especially the ESP KTN, which in my opinion is outstanding. So let me slide on very quickly. I'm aware that as a relatively new organisation, not everybody has yet heard about the UK Innovation Forum. I'd be an evil Chief Executive if I didn't take a moment just to introduce us as an organisation. Set up with the support of the STFC, officially based at the Rutherford Appleton Laboratory, we're a members organisation with, I think, about 35 academic institutions now as active members, although we're also in alliance with Praxis Unico and indirectly, therefore, supporting more like 125 universities. A growing number of businesses, 2,700 is definitely a bit out of date. And what we're really pleased about is the number of businesses who are coming to us cold, as it were. So just last week, Lilly Pharmaceutical, the week before that, Crown Packaging, before that, I don't know, people like Bupa and Dyson and all sorts of companies are coming to us to join. Well, why? Because we do our best to link those with novel technologies, which in the UK for sure means a very large chunk of university activity, with those who might want to commercialise them. And we do that in a number of structured ways. For sure, we have a forum where you can chat and engage and so on. We also have the UK's largest licensable technologies database and feed, which gathers new technologies for license from currently more than 60 universities twice a day, and then sends it out once a week. We have an expert member group made of the great and the good, but the great thing about this expert member group is that people can turn to it and do. So, for example, one of our expert members is Controller of the Royal Navy, Rear Admiral Amjad Hussain, and one of our members thought he had a bit of technology might be of interest to the MOD, was able to contact him through the forum, and now he's got a contract from the MOD. And so on. And, another one that we're working with UCL on, actually, that's it's worth just mentioning in passing, because it'll be very relevant to what's about to come, is that we are building, together with UK, Universities UK, another one of our partner organisations, a national database of business-friendly scientists. Now, UCL has such a database. You can go on and search, and you can find the people that they know will be happy to work with business. This is not so easy across the country as a whole, and if you are a business and you ping a note to an academic who you think might be able to help you, you never quite know whether you're going to get an answer or in what timescale. So we are building a national database where it won't be everybody, but at least the ones that are on it will respond to your emails. Anyway, I won't talk more about that now, but just to say that given that our members go from St Andrews to Swansea to Surrey and many places in between, I do travel the country a lot talking to universities and to businesses, and that is going to shine through in the comments that I make. So, using universities to grow your business is my theme for the day. Universities provide a certain sort of support, which is a fantastic sort of support for a certain sort of company, but it shouldn't be mistaken for a magic wand. In the same way you wouldn't get cross with a marketing strategy company who didn't sort out your finance department, you shouldn't expect university collaboration to suddenly solve all your business problems. But in an enormously competitive world, universities can be extremely powerful tools for growth in technology-driven companies. One of the things I like to say, I was talking in Northern Ireland at one of their conferences recently, was that a novel technology is novel everywhere. And novel technologies need to be thought of instantly globally. If you've got a novel technology in the UK, it will be novel in the States, novel in Germany, novel in Japan. And what we have right here in this country is something we can be rightly proud of. About 150,000 academics. Okay, that's a big number, but are they any good? Well, as Steve Paddock's already pointed out, number 2 in the world by output, compared, well, any number of different criteria actually, second only to the US, which is after all 5 times the size, so we shouldn't be too worried about that. And as soon as you allow for the size, what about that? Suddenly we're the best in the world by academic. Absolutely superb research goes on in this country, right here on your doorstep, for businesses to engage with. Yeah? And that is, in my opinion, a pretty powerful resource right here on your doorstep. And we should be making more of it as a country and as businesses. I was talking to a business not so long ago in the Manchester area who was saying, oh, well, you know, it's very difficult today, this market, you know, these brilliant ideas come up. The Swedes, he was very upset about the Swedes who'd invented something or other that was relevant to his business. And I said, okay, did you know that at Manchester University, down the road there, they've got some people who are working on that? Didn't. Hadn't bothered to find out. You have to blame the university up to a point that they hadn't got the message out. But connected them, and what you know, now there's a program of research going on there that will help that business compete globally with its competitors. And it's right here, waiting for us to tap into it. Now, this is, unfortunately, the thing that we hear everywhere we go. Yes, well, okay, university's marvellous, love to work with them, tried to find who to work with, found it really difficult, couldn't, you know, went to their website, you know, followed 18 clicks, didn't seem to find the person we were looking for. It's really, really difficult. And, you know, just an enormous brick wall. To be fair, what I find a lot with those kind of anecdotes when I'm talking to people is that they are a few years out of date. They haven't actually been back and looked at the website recently. They haven't seen that now, right at the top of the screen, it says, are you a business? Click here. You know, they aren't aware of the initiatives that many universities have so successfully developed with their commercialisation teams, or indeed the activities that those commercialisation teams engage in to help reach out to business. And events like this, of course, are great for trying to get that message across. The second problem is that when people do get in, sometimes they feel that the academics feel like they're sort of bestowing largesse on an undeserving, you know, community. You know, so, well, yes, that's very interesting, yes, well, I might get round to answering that question when I finish this block of research. So come back to me in 2 years' time. That kind of attitude. And there's no getting away from it. Some academics are still like that. However, and this is crucial, an increasingly large number are not like that, and with the guidance and facilitation of the university's commercialisation teams, you can connect to the right ones who can be enormously, enormously useful. So, the other problem, of course, is that even when you're connected to the right academic, looked in from the outside as a businessman, it seems to be an awful lot of blue sky thinking going on, and you look like you might step through the door and just find yourself in desperate need of a parachute, because it doesn't seem to be terribly near the floor, anywhere near the ground. And to an extent, that is always going to be the case, and it should be celebrated. The reason why that business I referred to from Warrington is now developing a product that will make the Swedish one look out of date is because the people that they're engaging with are thinking further ahead than they would. Now, it doesn't mean that because their thinking is up there, that especially with the facilitation of the commercialisation teams, it can't be made grounded and useful and valuable to a business today. So, and a lot of academics actually, increasing number of academics, are looking an awful lot more grounded, by the way. But you don't want, as I said before, you don't want to expect the wrong things from your academics. They will bring enormous value, and it can be made really valuable for businesses, but they are always going to be academics. As it turns out, the wall isn't solid. There are lots and lots of useful doorways in, and had my abilities been appropriate, I'd have had that person in my picture walk round the door, sort of walk round the wall a little bit further, and there'd have been a whole range of doorways there, but I couldn't make that work. However, some obvious doorways that I can point you to that you will know of. Technologies available for license. Oftentimes, what happens is that a university will have a very straightforward method of publicising and promoting the technologies that its scientists have created, where you can see them, find them, and even if they're not quite right for you, get enough of a feel for the capabilities behind the creation of those technologies to allow you to engage in a really useful way. UCLB, Cambridge Enterprise, both have excellent teams who can facilitate technology, IP, licensing, and so on. But the secret is to remember that the technology itself might be absolutely fit for purpose day one, but more likely it's just a beautiful example of what the capability of the academics can achieve that you could harness for your business. Which leads me on to JVs. More and more, as again Steve Caddick sort of referred to in passing, universities are doing very, very good jobs of collaborating with industry in all sorts of ways. That might mean R&D collaboration, which is obviously grist to their mill, but also through spin-outs or other forms of interaction where an industrial partner is involved. Spin-outs themselves, of course, are, well, they're in an interesting phase. There was an enormous push for spin-outs a few years ago, and the results have been mixed. There have been some absolutely fantastic results, and they should be praised, but not all of them have been great. And partly, I think it's because universities have tried to hold them too tight, but again, it's a learning point. Universities are evolving, progressing, and are getting much, much clever at the way they run spin-out companies and allow them to integrate with the wider business community. And you can always find out what the spin-outs are that are out there and what they're working on from talking to the universities directly, or the science parks, or the KTNs, or whomever it might be. One area, particularly for SMEs, that can be extremely valuable is universities' expertise in collaborative R&D. Framework 7, EU funding, for example, TSB awards and so on, can be a bit daunting for an SME. Might only do one every 3 or 4 years, might be your first one, can all look a bit scary. Well, someone like UCLB will have expertise in this. They'll have done dozens of them. They'll know how to write the reports, take all the pain away, and make it powerful. And some of those funding streams can be really, really useful to the development of a business and its technology for the future. Then there are some more doorways. The Centre for Doctoral Training. Well, we've already heard about that from Steve Caddick, but I don't think I can think of a better example of the ways in which universities are now really integrating what they do with business. I remember when I was a student, a friend of mine was employed by IBM, and I couldn't quite work out what he was doing at college, and it turned out that he'd been trying to solve some complicated problem with the way they tested their software, and he couldn't work it out, so his director had said, well, go and find out who knows how to do it, and he'd found a professor at Oxford. And he said, right, go on then, you go to Oxford and learn how to do this for us. So he went on full salary to Oxford to study with this professor. And I remember him sort of jumping up and down with joy. He said, I feel like someone who's got this toolkit. He said, I've got a hammer, and every time I try to, build a cabinet, I use my hammer. And then the professor says, well, let me introduce you to the screwdriver. That might be useful. And he was absolutely overjoyed at having that access to that first class, in that case, computational mind, which he simply couldn't get. Nowadays, bad to say that I'm getting a little older than I used to be, nowadays you wouldn't have to do that. You wouldn't have to be full-time employed by somebody who happens to have an awful lot of vision to send you to university, because you could employ indirectly a PhD student to do some research for you as a business within the academic environment, and overwhelmingly that's paid for by the funding body, BBSRC, EPSRC, whoever it might be, and you just top it up a bit as a business. There's a requirement the student has to spend some time in your business during the lifetime of that 4-year degree, and so on, so you make sure it stays relevant. But in terms of value for money as a business, something like £20,000 over 4 years to have a full-time researcher working on your problem for you. It's absolutely fantastic. And also, more generally, student projects and internships, of course, about which universities have become much, much more sophisticated. I know you're going to hear a lot more this afternoon, later this morning, I think, about the knowledge transfer partnerships. But these have been around a very long time, slightly different names. I think 3 decades, different names. And basically, what they involve is a student coming to work in a business, but maintaining academic support. So you, as a business, hire somebody that you think looks bright and intelligent, could work on something for you. That person sits in your business, and yet, once a week, once a fortnight, goes and spends an afternoon with his professor or her professor back at college asking, I've come into this problem, what do I do about it? And the academic comes and visits your business and gets to know you as well and understand your problems. Absolutely superb. And again, in terms of sheer value for money, superb. Absolutely superb, and the success rates of these things are colossal. All the feedback on whether it's added value is off the scales. Whatever it is, 85% of the students then get offered jobs by the people they've been working in because they're so valuable to the company they don't want to see them go, and so on. And there are something like 1,000 of these a year going, funded through the Technology Strategy Board, and they're currently slightly undersubscribed because they readjusted the lines a couple of years ago, and the result is now is a very, very good time to be talking to TSB's KTP advisors about tapping into this resource, because there are loads and loads and loads of opportunities to get excellent people really cheaply into your business to work on problems for you with full academic support. Case studentships are, not that different really, except that the student isn't in your business, it's in the university. But it's another example of industry projects being put and taken over and supported by the academics who can bring real expertise and value to solving your problems. Very good. How am I doing? Excellent. Then again, there's still other ways. One of the things, again, that I find when traveling the country is the number of people who do not realise all the kit that is available in universities. Now, I'm based at the Rutherford Appleton Laboratory, and all it is big bits of kit for other people to come and use. So It makes sense to me. But a lot of people don't realise just what could be done. You know, you phone up your local university and say, you know, we know you've been doing this kind of research. Does that mean you have one of these machines? And what do you know? Suddenly you can rent it to do the work you need to do and have an expert on site who can help you use it. A lot of universities now provide expert consultancy in different areas, and I don't just mean sort of management consultancy, although a lot of them will do that too. I mean proper first-grade, world-class technological consultancy to help people with their challenges in their workplace. Around that, universities can provide bespoke continuing professional development for your staff, very easy, even for outstanding individuals to start getting a little jaded after they've been around a few years, and a sharpener course from a university can be extremely powerful. Or, oh, that's good. There we go. Just ask. The one thing that really has changed over the last few years in the way universities interact with business is the flexibility and the open-mindedness of the universities to work with business. I'm sure if you spoke to Tim Bodley Scott down there, for example, and said, you know, I've got this problem, is there anybody who can help me? I mean, we did this. The Innovation Forum had exactly this conversation with them not that long ago, and he set up a meeting for me with one of their professors to look at ways in which we could make our user interface for our website more exciting, for example. Didn't want to fit it into any of these boxes, just said, okay, I'll set a meeting up for you, you can have a chat with these guys and see if they can help you. People are very, very willing to interact now, and it's just a matter of reaching out. They're bigger targets than the university. You know, if you look from a university out, there's 1 million limited companies in the UK, something like that. You know, where do you start? If you're a business, there's 100 universities. It's much easier to focus in, and people like the KTNs and ourselves, of course, are there to help make sure that you link up with the universities that you would need to in order to make it all work. So, universities are full of brilliant people and powerful capabilities. And that is what I want to leave you with today, really. It's a superb resource for industry. I think of it from the industry side rather than the university side. And the only thing I would say after many, many, many motorway miles around this country is that where businesses manage to effectively link up with universities, they get some really surprising and powerful results that can launch them a very long way. Thank you very much.